Hey guys, Pat again out in the shop with Rain Country. Yes, God is good all the time, just like Mama says. What I'm doing now is I'm working on the top side of that old Boyce and Crane table saw that I have. Most people would have probably hauled the thing to the dump by now, but I see a lot of potential in the old saw, so I'm working on the top side of it now. I'll take you quite a quick run, just in case you haven't seen the video of me building the motor mount and the rollaway table per se that the tabletop table saw sits on. The old saw is built for stout, built way back in the day out of cast iron, and so I'll show you that real quick in case you haven't seen that video. Mama can show that. I think it'll be up here or up here. So I'll kind of give you a rundown of what I'm up to now. I mounted this table saw. I built all this here. This box was a rescue from the dump or someplace, I can't remember. Anyway, I've had this thing for years and years, and so I installed this old motor. Probably that's 1941, I think it is. I think I've seen a date on there of January of 41. It's 220 horse motor. So I got this all lined up, squared away. But what I wanted to do today is, I don't think this is the original angle iron that was on the saw. It's a softer metal, and it seems to me like it's got a lot of flexibility in it. So as you can see, this is like 2 1/4 by 1/2 inch, I think that is. All this is for this fence. You can see this hook here. That hooks over top of, or hooks into this underneath here. After you get the fence, after you move the fence or slide the fence on this rail here, this locks in to this part of this angle iron. Well, this angle iron is pretty soft, so I got a piece of old bed rail that's going to have a wider drop on it. The other one obviously is a 6-inch drop. Well, this one's going to have 1 1/4 inch, 1.5 maybe. But I know this part right here is the length that I need to be concerned about, because I want it to come out the same as this, and also use the original holes, mounting holes, that mounts this to the bottom of the table. I got my soapstone here, and I'm going to mark underneath where I want holes to be duplicated. So I want to mark this right here. Mark that one. Here's another one. Mark that, and then mark this third one on the end. Oh, there's one more. There's 4 total. And take this out, transfer the pertinent holes over to this piece of metal. Bed rails are a pretty tough metal, so I think that's going to be better application, just because this is over 1/2 inch on this side, and this here is the original width. The thickness is the same as this piece here that I'm taking off. All around, it's just going to make this a little bit more robust. So I'll go ahead and get set up and get that removed. So now there's 2 reasons I know that this saw is old. One is they had regular slotted screws in the thing. The second thing is that everything's made with American standard hardware, like 3/8 inch bolts or whatever like that, instead of something mod 10 millimeters or 12 millimeters or whatever. You know, pretty standard operation would be the slotted screws and the standard size bolts to go in things. I'll get this all lined up. I'll just get this to where, find out where it needs to be lined up, and then I'll have to move it back to match the setback here. Or I can just do it the old-fashioned way and use a tape measure, that would be the smartest thing to do. That way I wouldn't mess up on this measurement here. That's 1/8 of an inch overhang to overcome this right here. So anyway, in the end, this hole would have to move back 1/8 of an inch from center. I like just putting stuff like this together this way. You know, see, I got this squared up on this end here. I can take a punch here, punch to the center on this one, punch to the center on this one, and punch to the center on this one, and then move the punch hole back 1/8 of an inch to get this in the perfect spot. Alright, I got this in here lined up. I'll go ahead and C-clamp that in place, keep it from moving on me. I'll do likewise on the other end. I'll locate center. You can see where the old screws were, screws or bolts, or whatever you want to call them things. So I can go right to the center of this. And guys, I just eyeball this stuff, and that gets me pretty doggone close. And I'll measure off of that. What I'll do is mark that as well with the chalk so I can see it when I remove the other piece. Now I can remove this from this clean edge right here. I can measure in. That is going to be 1 3/16 to the center of this piece right in here. So 1 3/16 into the center. I can set the little square up here for 1 3/16. Actually, that's not 1 3/16. It's going to be 1 1/8. Okay, it's not really necessary to put these little keyways in here. They're pretty handy for when you're putting a bolt in. You slip it through the hole here and then you slide it this way. You can leave the bolt in the machine then, but I don't really see it being necessary. Once we put this on there, it's going to be staying on there for, well, probably the rest of my days anyway. Okay, I found 4 stainless steel bolts there. Looks like they'll measure up nicely to whatever they had in there. Looks like they put, well, probably a couple of reasons why they put these nuts on here. Probably to shorten up the length of the bolt that they put in there so it wouldn't bottom out into the table, the cast iron table. So I got some, just so happened to have these stainless steel bolts that I can use, and it's just about the perfect length for these. And I'm not really crazy about split washers, but I'll put a split washer in there, and that should be just about perfect. So now what I have to do is I have to drill a hole, just oversize just a little bit on that, so that screw will fit into the angle iron here. That guy right there looks like it's going to be just enough to give me a little bit of room for this to have just a little bit of movement in there where I can adjust, because you know, we're not in a perfect world, and so these holes are probably going to be off just a little bit. So I'm going to go over to the drill press and drill these out. we'll see how well we did. Okay guys, I had to go up a drill size in order to make my bolts fit. Well, I know one line's up anyway. Maybe the rest of them will line up. That one's right on. So I need to go up a drill size on this. All right, well that's that on there. It's a lot more robust. Yeah, let's have a show of hands of the folks that take and grab the ends of their table saw and move it around like this. That other bar on here was, after I took it off, it just, something about it just seemed like, well, it doesn't seem like it's square and aligned. So I did take it off, took the old one off, and it was bent a little bit. So a lot of guys, including myself, will grab a hold of these end bars and move their saw around. Now I don't feel a bit apprehensive about picking this up because it's good and strong. This here's a milder steel. It's a little more lightweight. Again, this is only 1/2 inch here, whereas this over on this back side is, well, no guessing here. I'll have to, it's 1.5 by 1 3/4, so I think that'll be a lot better. So my next project is putting this top on here. This is old industrial grade particle board, and this is from an old desk. I took apart, disassembled it, and this has already got the I'm not sure if it's laminate or amalgamine on here, but if anything, it's a real thin countertop type material. Some people call it Formica. That's not the real name for it. Formica is just a brand name. And I shortened this table up, and I took the little piece of veneer off of the back side of the table. This used to come out here a lot longer. Matter of fact, here's the piece sitting on the old table saw, and so I took this piece off of here by just shaving this off with the table saw and then sanding it down with the belt sander, and then I went ahead and took some contact cement and re-adhered this to this table so it keeps that from swelling with any moisture or dampness or humidity that gets in the air. So that should make a pretty good solid table. It's nice and slick. And so what I have to do is I have to build this up a little bit to meet up with the existing table. As you can see, this right here, it has to be the same height. So I can build that up a couple of different ways. I can put a shim in there, or I can just put everywhere I have contact underneath here, which I think I'll put maybe 3 or 4 screws in the bottom side of this. I can build that up with maybe 2 or 3 washers. I think that's probably the best thing to do. There's a couple of contact points on the back side of this over here. These little support pieces here, I'll just put some washers in here, build that up, and that'll make a good side table for this old saw. So I'll go over there and get some fasteners. I'll look around in my fasteners bin and see what I can come up with to get this finished off.